Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's WWE Raw from July 18, 2022, live from Tampa, Florida. So, pretty good. It was an alright show. Could have been better, but we'll get into it as we go. I was going to take a look. If you remember last week, we took at the house show from the night before, and that's how we got the little clue that Dolph Ziggler was going to have something to do with Theory from last week. But nothing really much came out of the house show from last night, so we don't really need to go into that. But um, so nothing quite stood out. Although it was the fifth street fight in a row at house shows between Seth and Riddle, and so maybe that means their match at SummerSlam will be a street fight. They've had 10 house show matches. Seth and Riddle now have 10 house show matches against each other since June 11th. So this match is going to be great at SummerSlam. They've been working on it hard at these untelevised house shows. So they've also had 3 matches in the ring together on TV in that time. That Battle Royal, the ladder match, and last week on Raw, Lashley and Riddle beat Seth and Theory. So let's see if they announce that match for SummerSlam tonight. They do, and it seems like it was already announced before that. So maybe I missed the actual announcement, but it will be Riddle versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. The only things announced for tonight, going into tonight's Raw, was a women's title match. Bianca will defend against Carmella. If you remember, Carmella got a count-out victory last week over Bianca thanks to help from Becky Lynch. So that match was way better last week. Match was way better than their title match, Carmella and Bianca, at Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So let's see if they can have an even better one tonight, and let's see what role Becky will play in that one. The only other thing announced for tonight is the return of Logan Paul, and let's see if the Tampa crowd boos him out of the building. They boo him a little bit, but not too much. But this let's see. I was gonna say that let's see if they boo him despite him being a babyface, Logan Paul. So we'll find out if it will be a singles match at SummerSlam, Logan Paul versus The Miz, or will it be a tag match and maybe bring in AJ Styles and Ciampa. We're still kind of unsure on that, but it does look like at this point maybe it'll just be the singles match. So I had also heard a rumor coming in tonight that Kevin Owens might be making his return. I think he had a minor injury, so we'll have to see if his storyline with Ezekiel picks back up. Maybe maybe we'll see the third brother Elrod finally tonight, or will KO have something new to do? So KO did make his return tonight. That's why I wear my Owens shirt, or one of them anyway. And we're only 12 days away from SummerSlam, which is in a big stadium this year. So I expect that a lot will happen to set us up for that. Also, next week is in WWE's home arena in New York City, Madison Square Garden, MSG. Where it'll also be next week, Rey Mysterio's 20-year celebration in WWE. So this is definitely going to be, I knew going into it, it was going to be a setup show tonight for 2 big events next week. First, the Raw at Madison Square Garden, and then that Saturday at SummerSlam. So I knew this was going to be more of a setup show, and it definitely was. We do get one pretty good match, but we do open with a little bit of an emotional opening here. This one got to me in the feels a little bit. We open Raw. It is the hometown hero Titus O'Neil in the ring, and he mentions winning the Warrior Award, and he thought that would be the highlight of his career. But now that he is the global ambassador for WWE, Titus O'Neil is super happy. So Titus wants to have goodwill for everyone and put smiles on people's faces. And I'm not going to lie, this was very heartwarming and emotional. Titus O'Neil is a true inspiration for everyone. What a man that he is. He wants to spread more goodwill throughout the world and loves that WWE can be a safe space for everyone, regardless of race, religion, and all that. Financial status, I think he said as well. So Titus then pumps up the crowd and welcomes us to Raw. Really great stuff there. Almost brought a tear to my eye. They definitely missed the chance to get someone some heel heat by attacking Titus at the end here. Even I would have been booing from 1,000 miles away because that was a heartfelt moment. So we didn't get any heel attack there. We just go to a recap video with from last week with Becky Lynch's promo about Becky wanting a singles match rematch. She never got a rematch from WrestleMania. And then we saw Becky cause Bianca to get counted out against Carmella also last week. So now we're live, and Becky Lynch comes out. She's looking amazing tonight. She looks like Lilo from Fifth Element, Mila Jovovich. Becky gets in the ring and says, "You guys know the story of the little engine that could? Well, that's been me since WrestleMania. I'm the big-time Bex Express. I didn't complain. I just did something about it. Everyone has to stop for the train, even Bianca. I've hit some bumps, but now I'm on a history-making road. You can all get off at Appreciation Station just before I win my title back. I've been told the winner of tonight's title match will have to face me at SummerSlam for the title. Big Time Bex Express could and will be the next Raw Women's Champion. So decent promo there by Becky. So it is official. It will be a rematch from probably the match of WrestleMania any night, both nights combined. Bianca versus Bianca Belair defending her Raw Women's title against Becky Lynch in a rematch from their amazing WrestleMania match will happen at SummerSlam. So Bianca Belair now comes out and she says what Becky did last week was foul. Uh, but you know what, Becky? Let me tell you something. And then the crowd's chanting EST really loud. Bianca's loved by this Tampa crowd here. Bianca then continues by saying, "You can do whatever you want to put the focus back on you. This isn't the Becky Lynch comeback story. No, this is the Bianca Belair comeback story from last year at SummerSlam. Losing to you in 26 seconds was the most embarrassing thing to happen in my career. You shocked everybody with your comeback that nobody expected. Since that moment, I've been on a motion to redeem that. Look at us now, a year later. I'm proud to say I did just that. After I beat and whooped Carmella later, I'm gonna send your train back to Ireland." And then Carmella's music hits. So good promos here to set up, which should be a match stealing. Probably going to be match of the night again. Bianca versus Becky at SummerSlam. So Carmella's music hits and she says, "Bianca, you're making the biggest mistake of your life by overlooking me." And then Carmella steals Natalie Markova's line and gets in the ring. So a little stealing here from the Indies. Carmella continues saying, "I find it convenient that you couldn't get back in the ring in time to break the count. Or maybe little Miss EST decided I was too much and took a shortcut. Because tonight, if you just so happen to try and get counted out again, I will become the Raw Women's Champion." So in this match, if Bianca gets counted out, she will lose the title, unlike most title matches. So Bianca gets kind of annoying here. Thankfully, Becky attacks her from behind before it gets any more annoying. Carmella joins in, but the numbers game is too much, and Bianca gets beaten down. So Corey Graves is going wild on commentary to start this match now. So I guess the title match will be out. Will be now. A referee comes out and we go to a commercial break. So Carmella was a little right in saying Bianca took a shortcut last week. It did look like Bianca could have got in the ring, but didn't. Either she was like, to me, it looked like that Carmella was indeed surprising her, and she did surprise everyone by doing really good. And it looked like Bianca didn't go back in the ring because of that, taking the count out victory. So it didn't really seem like Carmella was lying there, even though she's the heel. After the break, the bell rings, and we will have our Raw Women's title match now. Carmella starts pretty strong, mounts for some punches, and Becky Lynch is going to be on commentary. And there's a lot of Becky Lynch talks a lot during this match. Bianca then dodges a Bronco Buster and then blocks a head scissors attempt. Bianca hits a big shoulder tackle and a drop kick. Bianca then hits a throwaway slam, and the announcers are only talking to Becky. They aren't calling the match at all, which is kind of lame. Carmella then rolls out of the ring, and Becky goes to distract Bianca again, similar to last week, but then this time Bianca doesn't. If she had gotten counted out, she would have lost the title. So Becky says goes back to commentary, and she said she was just complimenting Bianca for her nice boots or whatever. So kind of funny there. Carmella then takes control off of this and hits a super kick to send Bianca back to the outside. Corey Graves is yelling at the top of his lungs about this match, and it's super annoying from Corey Graves. Bianca just barely is able to get back in the ring before a count out. Corey's still screaming, and it's taking away from this title match and giving me a headache. Carmella then sends Bianca back to the outside again for a third time in a row. Bianca gets back in on an 8 count, and we go to an ad break. So I'm not digging this whole looking for a count out victory thing. It's not not exactly a fun thing to watch. So the match has been terrible so far, and Corey's making it unbearable because he's being annoying on top of it. So when we come back from break, Carmella's pulling Bianca's hair. This fires up Bianca, who hits 10 punches in the corner, flips out of it with a backflip, and then hits a springboard move for a 2 count. Carmella then hits Bianca across the ropes and gets 2 near falls out of it. Bianca hits a jawbreaker to get momentum back and a corner shoulder thrust. This and then puts Carmella on the top rope. Carmella fights it off, but Bianca catches a crossbody attempt and turns it into a vertical suplex, slightly delayed. So that was pretty cool. Carmella then fights back and hits a face buster for a 2 count. And there's zero flow to this match. It's just kind of random moves hit one after another. There's no flow. There's no wrestling here. Bianca then fires up, so Carmella slaps her in the face. This was a mistake. Bianca just hits the KOD, the kiss of death, for the 1-2-3. The winner and still Raw Women's Champion is Bianca Belair. So the crowd and Bianca go wild now. Becky's getting on the apron, holding on to the title, and Becky's hair is definitely looking really good tonight. Becky goes to hand Bianca the title, but then pulls a Charlotte and just drops it on the ground. Becky smirks and leaves, and this might be the best Becky Lynch look, like the look she has tonight, some of the best she's ever had. So we see announcer Jimmy Smith now has a beard, and he looks super weird with it as that segment ends, and we go on to the next one. We see a recap. It was the main event of SmackDown, which had another blown call by the referee, this time in the Angelo Dawkins Jimmy Uso match. Right after that, we found out the special referee at the tag match at SummerSlam will be Jeff Jarrett, of all people, who basically is only in the match because he's from Nashville and SummerSlam is in Nashville. So maybe they thought they could sell a few more tickets for the big stadium show. I think they only have about 40,000 of the 60,000 sold at this point. So in the back now are the Street Profits. Dawkins is going, says we going from Nashville to Cashville. If any slap nuts get out of line, Jeff will put them in their place. Then Montez says, well, it doesn't matter if it's Jeff Jarrett, Jeff Hardy, or Jeff Bridges, or even Cousin Jeff. A little weird to say Jeff Hardy here, but anyway, the Street Profits are walking out at SummerSlam with the titles, Montez says, but then they're interrupted by MVP, who has Omos with him, of course. MVP reminds them that Omos pinned Dawkins last week in the 6-man tag. And Angelo says, well, that's big talk from the hype man. Why don't you step up yourself, MVP? MVP says, I do have something for you. I do have someone for you to face, Omos. So MVP makes fun of the way that Angelo talks usually, which was pretty funny. And I guess that'll set up an Omos. And it does. It sets up an Omos Angelo Dawkins match later on. So finally, the return of Kevin Owens. I had heard he was coming back, but he comes out here. He makes his entrance. He's got a new T-shirt where KO is a big, jacked, muscular panda. It's pretty funny. After the ad break, it will be the KO show, and his special guest will be Riddle. So I guess this is how we're going to set up the Rollins and Riddle match. Don't forget, KO and Seth spent about the first 4 months of the year as a tag team, and they had a bunch of good matches against our rated RK Bro. Or not rated, but just RK Bro. I mean, imagine if Edge joined them and that was the stable. Anyway, including that amazing triple threat match. Remember, one of the matches of the year for Raw included Seth and Riddle in there when it was rated RK. I said it again. When it was RK Bro and Seth and KO, and I think the Profits were in that match as well. So they have been feuding all year. When we return from break, KO's in the ring, and it's going to be the start of the KO show. He's getting big boos from the crowd. I'm not even sure why. What did he do? All he was doing for the last few months is saying Ezekiel is Elias. So anyway, Kevin Owens says, before I tell you where I've been, let me bring out my guest, Riddle. So I guess it's already now been announced. It will be Seth versus Riddle at SummerSlam. So Riddle then comes out and says, KO promised him a Mountain Dew Baja Blast. KO says, I don't know what you're talking about, but sit down. Maybe you didn't even notice, but I wasn't here for a while. I had to take a break because I was going wild from Ezekiel and Elias. I was at home watching Raw, and I realized you're cool, calm, collected. And he makes a drug joke. And then that's when I realized I don't care about Ezekiel and Elias or even Elrod. The reason I had you come out because of your match at SummerSlam. Seth is someone else that gave me problems this year. I lost my best friend when Seth stabbed me in the back, just like you lost your best friend Randy. And then Riddle said, no, this is still KO. He says, Riddle, look, RK Bro was good, but Bro KO has the potential to be great. So KO wants to form a tag team with Riddle. Riddle says, you're like the biggest liar I know, dude. Come on. KO says, I've turned a new leaf. If you give me time, I can prove it. You trusted that snake Randy Orton. And Riddle gets mad about this, about the bad words to his Randy. So Seth's music now starts and then stops and then it just starts again. That was awkward, but Rollins comes from behind and hits a stomp on Riddle. The announcers claim this was a setup, but we don't know that. KO was telling the truth when he said Rollins stabbed him in the back. So Rollins then hits a second stop and basks in the boos from the crowd. And that really didn't do a great shot. That didn't do anything to make me more excited for the SummerSlam match. So, I mean, I guess it did set up a potential KO, or what was it? Bro KO, but apparently Riddle wants nothing to do with that. So we'll see where that goes. Maybe we'll get KO and um Seth Rollins back in the tag team after this. We're not quite sure, or maybe he'll just start. KO will just go right back to fighting with Ezekiel. So after this, we get a recap of the Judgment Day trying to recruit Dominic Mysterio while also calling Rey a bad father, and then we see the ending of last week's match where Finn beat Rey Mysterio. So now we're live and the Judgment Day's music hits, and I definitely miss Rhea Ripley at this point. Hopefully she's back soon and recovers fully from her injury. So Finn Balor and Damien Priest make their way to the ring, and we're told up next it will be Damien Priest versus Rey Mysterio, which should be pretty decent. So we'll see how that goes. When we come back from the break, Seth Rollins is laughing and dancing in the back. Kevin Patrick, the interviewer, asks Seth what happened. And Seth says, Riddle's too arrogant and stupid. Riddle actually thinks he can beat me and even turn down KO's help. And then Ezekiel interrupts Seth, and Ezekiel's all mad. So Seth says he'll stop Ezekiel's whole family, and a really bad promo here. Hope we don't see them fight later. Their last match got crapped on by the crowd. They were completely quiet on the 4th of July when these two fought. And yeah, they do have a match later. And yes, the crowd is completely quiet for it the whole time. So we got that to look forward to. Back in the ring now, Priest says all rise for the Judgment Day. Last week, we chose not to injure Dominic because we still believe he will join the Judgment Day, maybe even today. Just do it, Dom. Your father is holding you back. Let's show you what happened the last time a legend tried to hold us back. And then we see a recap of the Judgment Day kicking Edge out of the stable that Edge created. Finn Balor then says one sentence before Rey interrupts. Rey comes out with Dominic, and we go to an ad break. So it's only been about three or 4 minutes at the most since we just returned from ad break. We go to another one. When we come back, it's already in progress. The match has already been going. WWE really doesn't have any faith in the Judgment Day, do they? They put so many ad breaks during all their stuff. It's either that or it's the exact opposite, and they think the Judgment Day will keep people from watching, which is backwards because the Judgment Day hasn't been booked with any care from WWE. They haven't been booked with any relevance. I was so excited when the stable was first announced. I was so excited even again when they kicked out Edge and Finn Balor was going to be heel, but nothing has been that exciting yet. And yes, the Rhea Ripley thing kind of threw a monkey wrench in the cog of the machine, but they still could have found something for Finn Balor just turning heel and he just doing this crap. So anyway, why would they even want Dominic in their stable? Priest has Rey in trouble and hits a swinging neck breaker. The crowd rallies behind Rey. Pretty boring match that we missed the half of so far. So it's nothing to get excited about here. Rey then counters a choke slam and Priest uh Priest goes into the ring post with a Hurricane Rana. Rey then counters again with a tornado DDT, and just like the last match tonight, the other match tonight, there was zero flow to this match. It's just two people randomly hitting moves with no flow or reason. Finn then tries to interfere. Rey kicks Finn down, which knocks Dom down as well. So maybe that's something that'll develop. Rey kicked Finn into Dominic, so maybe that'll be an explanation if Dominic turns next week in Madison Square Garden. Priest counters a 619 and almost gets a 3 count. But Rey just hits the 619 right after that. Priest blocks the West Coast pop though and hits a massive power bomb for the 1-2-3. So your winner by pinfall is Damien Priest. Again, just like last week, we didn't get the start of the match because it was during a commercial break, and then it was really quickly finished when we did get back. So these Rey Mysterio is like a legend. These are the last little bit of his career here, and we just go to commercial break when he's having matches like all the time. Anyway, Priest and Finn go to attack Rey, and they're about to hit a concerto, but Dom tells them to stop. Stop the attack, and I'll join the Judgment Day. So Priest says, "Hey, Dom, it doesn't work that way." And they attack Dom as well with the chair and send Rey and Dom out of the ring. So I'm guessing they'll pick this back up next week. It'll be Rey's 20th anniversary in WWE celebration at Madison Square Garden. But we do get a promo later on. So right now we seriously get a recap of the KO show that happened about 10 minutes ago. Thanks for that recap. Seth's music now hits, and it will be Ezekiel versus Seth tonight. How long until Riddle runs out? Let's see. So if this crowd, let's see if the crowd is completely quiet like last time. And yes, they are. So we go to another ad break, and we're getting about 50-50 ad to Raw ratio right now in the last 20 minutes. When we come back, it's we see the same Edge video from last week where it showed his old rivals from the middle of his career, Randy Orton, John Cena, and what was the other one? Anyway, last week they played the old one and then the new one later, so that's probably what will happen tonight. And yeah, we do see a new one later on, but the new one wasn't really much. All it said was, "I am coming soon" or something like that. So it wasn't much. Anyway, I'm sure we'll see Edge next week at Madison Square Garden or SummerSlam or both. So Ezekiel comes out, and now we see a recap of the 4th of July with Ezekiel squirting mustard on Seth Rollins. That's where this feud started. And then later that same night, we saw Seth beat Ezekiel. Back to live action now, and the bell rings, and they start with some grappling. Ezekiel works a headlock, and Seth has a little trouble getting out of it. Ezekiel has the power advantage. Ezekiel then hits a shoulder tackle and reverses an arm drag back into the headlock. The crowd is completely quiet, just like 2 weeks ago. Seth now goes on the attack. The crowd doesn't root for him either. Why the heck would WWE run this match back when it didn't deliver 2 weeks ago? Zeke catches a dive to the outside and sends Seth right into the ring post. Zeke goes for the top rope move, but Seth crotches him over the ropes, hits a jumping knee to the back of Zeke's head, and we go back to ad break. Ton of ad breaks. When we come back, Ezekiel's dominant and the crowd is completely quiet. We're told it'll be AJ Styles versus Theory later tonight, and that ends up being the match of the night for sure by a long shot. So that was good to see. We saw them fight each other a lot in the beginning of the year, but not recently. Seth then turns it around in this match, and the crowd's still quiet. Seth hits a big kick for a 2 count. The match gets a little sloppy now, and they both botch a move. Zeke then hits a power bomb for a 2 count. A striking exchange is won by Seth with an enziguri kick. Seth then springboards into the ring, but right into a knee from Ezekiel. But we didn't get to see that move because the referee was in the way of the camera shot. Everything about this match sucks. There's a bunch of botches. The camera work is bad. The crowd is completely silent. Zeke then goes up to the top, but Seth meets him up there by leaping and hitting the superplex Falcon Arrow combo. Zeke fights out of a pedigree, and then Seth hits a huge strike, and then the stomp for the 1-2-3. So your winner by pinfall is Seth Rollins. We hear fake boos go over the TV because it clearly wasn't the crowd. Seth then has allowed a look on his face of frustration from the crowd and that match and just the booking in general. So Rollins just leaves, and that's 2 segments tonight. That didn't really make me want to see Riddle versus Rollins anymore. We didn't even see Riddle in this match. So if the whole goal is to set up and make us want to watch Riddle versus Seth even more than we already do, they failed miserably in 2 separate segments tonight. Nothing about that made us any more so than we already did want to watch Riddle versus Rollins. Anyway, we see a recap of Omos pinning Angelo Dawkins in the 6-man tag last week, and in the back, MVP and Omos are approached by the Usos. And that was they remember Omos teamed with the Usos in that 6-man tag. And they say, well, maybe Dawkins won't make it to SummerSlam, and we'll be watching the match from ringside, the Usos tell them. So the Usos make their entrance, and we go to another ad break. When we come back, we see a recap from 10 minutes ago again. Second time in a row, they gave us a 10 minutes ago recap. This time it's Priest beating down Rey. So then we're told it's Rey's 20th anniversary celebration at Madison Square Garden next week. In the back, Finn Balor says, Dom has potential but isn't ready. And then Priest says, we saw right through you tonight, Dom, and you said you would only join the Judgment Day to save Rey. You should have just grabbed the chair and hit your father to prove yourself. Next week, we finish what we started, and we will finish the Mysterios. So Omos now makes his entrance. He's got MVP with him. In the back, the Street Profits are all fired up. Montez is a little bit annoying here. Usually he's great, but I didn't enjoy this promo. Maybe it's just because the show's been bad, so I got a bad taste in my mouth. But Street Profits make their entrance. Usos are mean mugging the Profits the whole way down. The bell rings and Omos hits a massive Beal right away. Montez distracts Omos right away, but Omos hits a shoulder tackle anyway. And I think maybe I missed it, but at some point Montez might have even grabbed Omos's foot from behind the referee's back. And the crowd is quiet again. They usually love Montez's antics and all his silliness on the outside, but the crowd's still quiet for this as well. This happened on the 4th of July when Seth fought Ezekiel on the 4th of July and the crowd was quiet. It took the crowd about 40 minutes to wake up from that doldrum. So again, that bad match affecting the match after it with the crowd. MVP now trips Dawkins with his cane and the referee rings the bell. So MVP is complaining that Montez did the same thing, but Montez didn't get caught. So your winner by disqualification over Omos is Angelo Dawkins. And I forgot to mention, but at a point, Dawkins did dodge an attack from Omos and hit 2 of his nice looking 360 spinning corner splashes. So that was a nothing match, but I guess Dawkins can now say he has a singles victory over Omos. Adam Pearce comes out and makes it a tag team match, playa. And so yeah, all of a sudden we're not done. It's going to be Street Profits versus Omos and MVP. So MVP is in a suit, by the way. So why would anyone get excited for this announcement? I was excited when the match ended early, but now I'm back to being upset. So we go to an ad break. When we come back, the bell rings to start the match. So why the heck do we have to miss the start of 2 straight weeks of Rey Mysterio matches that we actually want to see? But crappy matches like this, we have to wait till we come back from the break to start. Nobody wants to see this match, so somebody please make it make sense. Nothing makes sense. But anyway, we know that going into this show. Omos then goes on the attack on Dawkins with some slow prodding moves. He tags an MVP who's still wearing his dress clothes and dress shoes, by the way. MVP hits the balling elbow drop that Dawkins sometimes does a balling move himself, so that was kind of cool. Dawkins then hits a nice looking punch to counter a running attack. Montez is getting the crowd to get a little bit louder now and tags in himself. So Montez and Omos are in. Omos catches a crossbody off the top rope, but Montez is able to get out of a military press and a terrible looking springboard move by Montez now right into a judo chop from Omos, who slams hard forward down for a 2 count. Dawkins throws MVP into both Usos who are ringside. They were sitting there, and Dawkins throws MVP into them. Profits then hit a double team move on Omos. Montez hits the from the heavens frog splash, and Omos kicks out at 1. So the Usos now rush the ring. The bell rings. 2 straight disqualification matches. Your winners by disqualification are the Street Profits. Omos wins or now hits a big slam to both Profits, then just leaves, and the Usos stand over the fallen Street Profits. Tag titles held high with the crowd booing a lot. So I guess that one did all right. We didn't have to see any combination of singles matches between the Usos and Street Profits, which is always a win. We've seen too many of those. So I'm fine. Whatever. The 2 disqualifications doesn't really bother me. In the back, Sarah Schreiber, one of the interview women, is with Veer Mahan, and Veer stares her down and really weirdly says boo to her, which makes him look like a dweeb, makes him look like a nerd. Veer then has a Grinch laugh and just leaves. So what the heck was that? Tonight is truly terrible. The Miz is actually the person Sarah was going to interview, so Veer's gone now. Maybe Veer will join Ciampa as being Miz Fits, if you want to call him that. We have seen Miz have an alliance with Veer once in the past. So anyway, Miz talks about Logan Paul. He wants to be tag partners, but if Logan says no, he will take out Logan Paul. And that will be our main event segment tonight. Theory's music now hits, and he comes out with the briefcase. He's taking selfies. I definitely miss Theory's old music. It was so much better. And can we please sign Jim Johnston back to make music before he gets too old and we lose the legend forever? Maybe when Vince gets taken off creative, Triple H and Paul Heyman will come in to replace him, and maybe we can get Jim Johnston rehired. I can dream, right? Anyway, we go to an ad break with Theory taking selfies. When we come back, Theory has a microphone, and he says, "We are on the cusp of the biggest SummerSlam of all time. I'll beat Lashley for the U.S. title, then cash in my briefcase against whoever wins against Roman and Brock. The crowd's now giving Theory way more boos, and what chants every word that Theory says. Theory must have spent the entire ad break making fun of their local teams, the Tampa Bay Lightning and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is a good tactic to do while you're at commercial break to get the crowd to really, really boo you when we come back from break. Anyway, we then see a recap of last week when Brock was here and Brock beat up the Alpha Academy, who it looked like Theory had sent over to attack Brock. So Theory continues by saying that he always comes up in the clutch. He runs down the many people that don't like him because they're all jealous, and that's why Dolph Ziggler attacked me last week. He's jealous. Then we see a recap of last week when Dolph returned from wherever he was and attacked Theory. AJ's music now live hits. Huge chance for AJ. This is the loudest the crowd's been all night. They loved AJ here. AJ says, "We're not jealous of you. We think you're a jackass." So Theory says, what the hell were you doing at my age? So Theory's basically saying, says like you were toiling away in TNA forever without saying TNA. And then Theory says, but I'm here at 24 and I've already gotten this far in WWE. AJ says he's proud of his background. It made me who he is. Theory says, what's that, a grizzled old veteran? And AJ says, no, I'm the guy that's going to beat some respect into you. So that match is next. Before we go to an ad break, Dolph's music hits. So Dolph is in a suit, and he comes and sits at ringside, just like last week. So when we come back from the break, it is the new Edge vignette video thing. This one wasn't very good. It didn't feature any rivals that I noticed. I only watched it once while it was live, but he writes, I am coming in blood on a mirror, and seemed pretty generic, and we pretty much already know it's going to be Edge. So maybe we'll see Edge next week in Madison Square Garden or at SummerSlam or both. So when we come back, already in progress is AJ and Theory. So again, they start matches during the breaks that we actually want to watch. But if it's a match we don't want to watch, they just wait to start it until they cut. It's somebody make it make sense. It's so backwards. Anyway, this match is awesome. This is the match of the night by far. It's really fast-paced action. AJ's in control mostly, but Theory is keeping up and fighting back and hanging with AJ. So Theory's definitely looking more comfortable in this match than he did against AJ earlier in the year, which shows good development from Theory. Mr. McMahon has taught Theory a lot, and Theory's gotten more confident as the months have gone by. And since all that was happening on an upward trajectory for Theory, AJ's been fighting an uphill battle against the Judgment Day. Then he lost Finn as a friend, tried to focus on the title, but failed to win Money in the Bank, and then has been feuding with The Miz. So that definitely explains why Theory will be doing better now against AJ than they were in the past. Plus, Theory's at an age where you get better with time, and AJ's at the age where time's the enemy and could make you worse. So it's been a great match so far as we go to a break with nobody with a clear advantage. So when we come back, AJ's fighting out of a chin lock, but Theory hits a back body drop right after. So we see during the break, Theory countered a phenomenal forearm by running into the ropes, tripping up AJ. So back to live action. AJ hits a great striking combo with the back fist and leg sweep at the end of it. Theory's in a little bit of trouble, but kicks out. And Theory can't fight too hard in this match. Theory has so many enemies after him, including Dolph, who's sitting ringside right here. And all Theory needs to do is get the SummerSlam without injury. And then if that happens, Theory has a legit chance to get 3 titles in one night. 3 of the 4 singles titles could go to Theory. Although WWE has been very non-specific about what the rules with the Money in the Bank contract are. So potentially WWE could say that the contract is only for one of the titles. So maybe even if like Roman gets cashed in on and Theory wins against Roman, maybe Theory only gets the WWE title and Roman will remain the Universal Champion, because WWE has been very, very sure not to be specific of what the rules are. So I'm almost guaranteed that that's something that might happen, and that might be a way to get the Raw a world title again and get the WWE title off of Roman while keeping the Universal title on Roman. So that's a potential thing that we might see for sure. But in the meantime, like I said, Theory needs to keep his health up and get to SummerSlam in one piece to even have a chance. So The fight spills to the outside now, and AJ throws Theory into the announcer's table. AJ goes to go in, but the referee's distracted. Dolph Ziggler hits a huge super kick to the chin of Theory, and the referee counts to 10. There's a count-out victory to go with all those disqualifications. So your winner by this of the match by count-out is AJ Styles. And even worse than losing this match for Theory is AJ hits the Styles Clash after the match anyway. So Theory had to eat back-to-back finishers, draining some of his overall health down even more, with multiple finisher attacks from multiple people. Just Theory's been getting run into the ground lately. Remember on SmackDown, Madcap Moss took out Theory after their match. Theory's been having 2 matches a week now. He had 2 grueling matches at Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So at this current rate, Theory might run himself into the ground and fail his cash-in unless anything changes, or if Theory can knock out either Brock or Roman enough during or even after, or maybe even during the main event match, Theory might come out. So if Theory can take them out, it won't even matter what his overall health is. But if Theory cashes in, it won't, and it becomes anything like a normal match, Theory will definitely fail. So he has to be very careful. And don't forget, Theory also has a U.S. title match at SummerSlam against Lashley. So Theory's health won't be that much better than Brock and Roman after the main event last man standing match. It won't even be that much better. So Theory has to make sure he wins this match by like knocking them out before it even starts when he catches in. So when we come back from ad break, we have to be getting either an Alexa or Asuka or both segment. There's only 30 minutes left in the show. Before that, though, we get a big video package, really good video package. You need to go look this one up on YouTube on the WWE page. Starts with some country music from my guy Jason Aldean. Then it's a really good hype video. This is all about Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. It shows their history. Definitely go watch this. It's on YouTube, I'm sure. And it got me ready to watch Becky and Bianca steal the show yet again. It's a pretty long hype video, so it will, just like I thought, be Asuka and Alexa. It seems like. So Alexa's music hits. She's got Lily with her, which of course means Alexa's not evil. Anytime she's got Lily with her, she's this boring babyface version of herself. So Alexa's story arc has barely moved an inch since she returned. She's just stuck in the same spot she was. We're told it'll be a 6-man or a 6-women's tag match when we come back. So let's see if there's any surprises or if it's just the normal Raw roster. I did predict in last week's Raw review, if you were here, that I think maybe if the WWE Women's Tag Team titles aren't gone forever, maybe Asuka and Alexa will win them, maybe even at SummerSlam. So if you remember, Asuka and Alexa had a little backstage segment a couple weeks ago where they said both of them are going to hold gold soon. So if they do bring the tag titles back and Asuka and Alexa win them, they will both have been telling the truth. They might not have thought it would be together as a tag team, but they would have been telling the truth. So that's something we can look out for on a story. Let's see if they even mention the tag titles during this match, the 6-woman tag. And no, not once do the women's tag titles be mentioned. So there's a potential that we will never see the women's tag titles ever again, which is a shame. When we come back from ad break, Asuka's music's now playing, and unfortunately, it's a 3-hour show, but we can't find time to even give quick versions of entrances for these 6 women. Anyway, the attack is super fast at the start, and a lot happens before I can even type down who's in the match. So eventually, I have to go back and type down. It is Alexa Bliss teaming with Asuka and Dana Brooke versus Nikki, A.S.H, Doudrop, and Tamina. So no surprises here, just the regular Raw roster. Nikki, A.S.H, and Asuka start the match. Make sure you remember that after all this craziness that's about to happen. They battle to the outside pretty much immediately, Nikki and Asuka do. Then everybody starts the brawl. Reggie appears out of nowhere. So Reggie pins Dana Brooke to win the 24/7 title. And then Nikki, A.S.H wins the title. Then Alexa wins the title. Then Doudrop wins the title. Then Tamina wins the title. And then Dana Brooke wins back her title. So this is something we've seen on Main Event 3 weeks ago. So now they're running it again on Raw. Tons of title changes in quick succession here. Dana Brooke runs away with her title, but the original match is still underway. So if you remember, the 2 legal people were Asuka and Nikki. Since Nikki didn't pin Asuka when she won the title, she pinned someone else. The match is still going. So Asuka just immediately makes Nikki, A.S.H tap out to the Asuka lock, and the segment ends. So what an insult to women's wrestling. WWE and AEW both treat women's wrestling like an afterthought, like It's just here it is, do something really quick and get the heck out of here so we can get back to the men. It's beyond old at this point. It's insulting. We need a real women's company in America to be on television with a 2-hour live show every week, nothing but women's wrestling. And then WWE and AEW can get rid of their women's division since they don't care about them anyway. It's ridiculous. It's an insult to try and tell us that, oh yeah, we have women's wrestling, but really it's just an insult. Anyway, Dominic and Rey are in the back now, and Dom says that I may have failed your test, Judgment Day, but I never wanted to join you anyway. And then Rey says him and Dom will celebrate the Rey's 20th anniversary next week by showing the Judgment Day what it's like to get a Mysterio beatdown. So like he said, it will be the 20th anniversary. Maybe we'll see Edge in that segment. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, but I am looking forward to it. And we should all the highlight videos, or like the big highlight video they'll play about Rey is going to be epic. So that'll be something to look forward to as well. I had completely forgotten that Logan Paul was returning tonight after all this. So it will be the main event segment. The Miz comes out. We see highlights of the Miz winning a celebrity softball game. Miz hit a home run to win the game at the end. Inspirational music hits. The Miz wins the MVP championship belt for the softball game. The Miz is now in the ring, and after the break, it'll be like the 25th edition of the year of MizTV. In this time in the main event segment with Logan Paul as the guest. So when we come back, Miz brings out Logan Paul. There's fake cheers until Logan's in the ring, and then we hear the real crowd there booing. Logan then asks if Miz accepts the one-on-one match or not. Miz says, let's watch this recap. So it's Miz and Logan Paul beating the Mysterios at WrestleMania, and then the video ends there when they celebrate. So Logan Paul yells, hey, show the rest of that footage. And then they show the rest where Miz then hits Logan Paul with a skull-crushing finale. So Miz tries to explain his way out of this, but Logan just keeps cutting the Miz off, interrupting. Miz eventually is able to talk, but he botches saying Floyd Money Mayweather's name, stumbles over his words. Miz is just basically kissing Logan Paul's butt so that he can get out of the match against him. And Miz says, Logan Paul, you can't host MizTV or face Miz at SummerSlam because you are a rookie. Logan says, you don't think I'm ready? You don't think I'm tough enough? And then Logan stumbles over his words too. So great main event segment here. Just stumbling over words back and forth. Logan says that he's worked hard to train for this and he's in his prime, unlike The Miz. Logan will be return next week at Madison Square Garden, where they will probably boo him out of the building. And Logan Paul will host his own show next week in the ring. So Miz says fine, but the answer is still no. So Logan then talks about Miz's balls and gets the crowd to chant tiny balls. This absolutely is terrible to watch. The Miz is now so mad. He shows his shirt that says that he has massive balls. He's so mad because of the balls chant, mad enough to accept the match against Logan Paul at SummerSlam. So that match is made official. Logan then attacks Miz, but Ciampa attacks Logan Paul from behind. It's pretty cool to see Ciampa attacking Logan Paul, but you already know this will lead to Logan Paul pinning Ciampa's shoulders to the mat for 1, 2, 3 at some point, and it will be terrible, and I will be mad. So we can't wait for that to happen. Logan is able to roll away and dodge a double team attack because he's so good and he escapes any more damage. Then Sarah, the interview woman, comes out of nowhere to ask Miz what his response to all this. Miz ends Raw by saying, there's only one Miz and there's only one MizTV. Sure, your glitz and glam is amazing, but I'm the Miz and I'm awesome. So that ends Raw. Next week in Madison Square Garden in New York City should be pretty good, and SummerSlam should be good as well, especially we already know Bianca and Becky Lynch is going to tear the house down. And I did slip up and say Bayley right there. Maybe we'll get Bayley return at SummerSlam as well. So maybe they could potentially bring the tag titles back and we'll see something with like maybe 4 women's tag team match, like Asuka and Alexa might win that match and win the titles if they wanted to do something like that. I don't know if that's where you want to debut a big return of Bayley, but I hope Bayley can be on this SummerSlam card regardless, in some way, some shape or fashion, even if it's not a match, just a run-in. So this Raw was not good whatsoever. It didn't develop any stories any more than before the show started, in my opinion. Where was Lashley? The women were insulted yet again. 2 disqualification finishes, and count out victory. That match, the title match, the Raw Women's title match, was not nearly as good as the last week's version, which was a non-title match. The whole point of the Bianca Carmella match was to try and get Carmella counted out, which isn't fun to watch whatsoever. The match of the night by far is AJ versus Theory, but even that barely got any time and ended just kind of out of nowhere with Dolph Ziggler doing a super kick. I would have much preferred maybe Dolph Ziggler to say something over the microphone instead of basically a repeat of last week. So if you missed this Raw, you really weren't missing much. It didn't really further along the storylines whatsoever. Everything that we already knew was going to happen at SummerSlam is going to happen. I mean, it did kind of help. I am more hyped for the Becky versus Bianca match than I already was, but I was already really hyped for that match, and I already thought that match is definitely one that could steal the show. So like I said, the Rollins versus Seth really they didn't give you any more reasons to be excited about that match. The stuff with Street Profits and Usos, I mean, they really can't get us to be any more excited than we already are for that match. I still think that it's kind of sucks that after their long epic match at Money in the Bank, we have to run it back again at the next pay-per-view. I think that was kind of a mistake. But I am looking forward to see what happens with the Judgment Day. I wanted Rey Mysterio to turn heel the whole time, but if Rey didn't turn heel on the 4th of July, making his son a bloody mess in their hometown, then he's never turning heel, because that was the perfect opportunity and time and place. So I doubt we're going to see that at Madison Square Garden. I'm sure we'll see Dominic eventually, maybe at SummerSlam, join the Judgment Day, which I don't know, maybe that could be cool. Maybe he'll come out in like a Rey Mysterio mask, but an evil version of Rey Mysterio. Maybe he'll call himself Rey Mysterio the Third or something. Who knows? But yeah. Other than that, there's not a lot going on. We didn't get to see Elrod or anything cool from Ezekiel. All we did was run back a match that we already watched and already didn't like. What was the point of watching Ezekiel versus Seth again? That match was so bad it affected the crowd for the next match. That's the true mark of a bad match. Other than that, I don't think I'm missing anything. The women were all pretty much disrespected with that segment at the end. Don't even have the second women's match if it's going to be that much of a cluster F. But I would have preferred, it's a 3-hour show, so why can't this 6 women tag match at least get a little 5-second entrance? Do they all have to be in the ring? It's a 3-hour show. And also, why do you have to go to commercial breaks when the matches we want to see, but then you wait to start matches from the matches we don't want to see? Like, who in their right mind would care about Omos versus Dawkins over like AJ versus Theory or Rey versus Damien Priest? Like, it's just so backwards. Oh, and don't forget, they made Veer look like an idiot tonight for no reason. Veer's undefeated, by the way, on Raw in 2022. So yeah, we've got an undefeated guy who might have something cool. Maybe we could do something. No, let's just make him look like an idiot in the back. Make him look like a 7-year-old child when he's supposed to be like this killing kind of machine kind of guy. But no, let's make Veer look like an idiot. It's only going to be a couple months till he's dancing just like Shanky, and they'll probably reform that tag team and they'll dance their way to the ring. It's just some terrible stuff. So hopefully the hammer drops and Vince loses his job within the next couple weeks here. That would be amazing. Let's get Paul Heyman, Triple H back. Maybe they can get Jim Cornette with them too. The three of them can make this show great again, and we can go from there. But in the meantime, it's just all crap. Maybe NXT tomorrow night will be better. I'll be back here for that, so don't miss that. We saw the big shocking, not really shocking, but quote unquote shocking heel turn by Cora Jade, and where I'm sure you guys all saw her skateboard broke before she was able to break it over Roxanne Perez's head. So I will be back tomorrow night with NXT. I really don't want to talk about Raw anymore, but thanks for tuning in. Give me a subscribe if you don't want to miss. I do all the reviews, even main event. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll talk to you again tomorrow night for NXT 2.0. It should be, there is a 20-woman battle royal to determine the number one contender for Mandy Rose's title. So if you haven't been watching the NXT product, definitely tune in just for the 20-woman battle royal so you can see there's about 35 women in NXT right now. So hopefully at least like 10 of them can become stars, and we can actually start having, because at some point I think Vince is going to lose his job, and at some point things are going to get a little bit better. and maybe the women can get some respect again. There's no doubt in my mind that Naomi and Sasha made the right call by leaving when they did. They were forced into it because they were fighting and fighting and fighting. Don't forget, yes, Sasha is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but do not forget that Naomi was having a career year. Naomi has been in WWE for a decade, all the way back to the NXT game show. And this was a career this last 8 to 10 months. Naomi was having banger after banger match, even throughout that never-ending feud with Sonya Deville. Go back and watch that Naomi Charlotte main event on SmackDown, and it was one of the best women's matches in the last year. And it was just on a random episode of SmackDown. So Naomi was at the top of her game, and she, alongside Sasha, saw the writing on the wall. Think about all the things that they've done to the women that they were calling out from NXT. Remember Xia Li's amazing comic book style vignettes where she was the protector, and it looked really cool, and it was got people kind of excited. Maybe if they never even heard of Xia Li in NXT, they were kind of thinking those comic book style things were cool. And then they have her come out. She kind of had a cool, if somewhat cheesy, but cool entrance. And then what happened? We never see Xia Li again. She wasn't injured. She didn't even make the cut for the 30 women battle Royal Rumble. We had to get people like Melina and Kelly in there instead of someone that we just debuted on the main roster. And that wasn't the only one. Aaliyah, Shotzi, all called up to SmackDown, and they were not used whatsoever until Naomi and Sasha forced them to be used by leaving the company, and they still aren't very used. But at least we got to see like Shotzi make it to the ladder match. Aaliyah seemingly is on TV somewhat more, but still no Xia Li. Where the heck is she? The women get no respect whatsoever. It's not any better in AEW. The women get no respect in AEW either. So I just wish all the women from AEW and WWE would leave and form their own company. Maybe Sasha Banks, with the help of some of the Snoop Dogg and some of his rapping friends, could all pool together some money and get some women's show on BET or something like that. Even if it's a recorded 1 hour weekly show, but preferably a 2 hour live women's show where we can have like Britt Baker versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Asuka and Io Shirai versus Toni Storm and all these crazy matchups, and we can actually have some legitimate women's wrestling. It's an insult the things that the women have to do on WWE and AEW right now. So that always grinds my gears. It wasn't a really good way. And then we go right from that to Logan Paul and Miz in the main event segment. Instead of giving the women we couldn't even give them little 5-second entrances. No, we need more time for Logan Paul and the Miz to stumble over their words in the main event segment that nobody cares about. So they're bringing in all the celebrities because they desperately want to sell out. They want to look big and powerful by having stadium shows, but they can't sell enough tickets to these stadium shows. And then they have to do things like, oh, let's bring Brock Lesnar back for a 7th pay-per-view against Roman Reigns. Like, is anybody, like, even the biggest Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar fans and people that are fans of both of them can't be excited about a 7th title match against those two. So that's the main event. We also get Baron Corbin versus Pat McAfee. I'm a Pat McAfee guy. I think Pat McAfee's hilarious. He's also really good in the ring, but do I want to watch him in a big not main event, but a prominent match at SummerSlam against Baron Corbin? No, the answer is no. Logan Paul, he looked pretty good in his WrestleMania match. Do I want to watch him fight The Miz at SummerSlam? No. Like, as fun as it is for Jeff Jarrett to be the special referee, does that make any sense other than we're in Nashville? Let's sell a few more tickets. No, it doesn't make any sense. So nothing really makes sense, but we do have a couple good things that are going to happen at the pay-per-view at SummerSlam. Seth Rollins versus Riddle is guaranteed to be good, and they've had 5 straight street fights on the house show loop, so that probably will turn into a street fight, so it should be a pretty good match. And we know Bianca versus Becky is going to tear down the house. So there should be things, and we've got all the intrigue with could the impossible happen in theory, walk out with 3 of the 4 singles titles. So there's enough. Oh, and I'm sure Usos and Street Profits are going to tear down the house. I could care less about Liv versus Ronda. Hopefully they at least have Liv beat Ronda, but I don't think I'm missing anything, and really none of there was 3 maybe things I was excited about, and the rest I'm not. So we'll see how it shakes up. We've still got 2 more SmackDowns and 1 more big Raw from Madison Square Garden before that. So we'll see how that goes. and maybe we'll get more excited as we go. Next week's Raw should be pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. So maybe we'll get some good stuff there. But I'm gonna get going. I'll see you guys tomorrow for NXT. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.